All right. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about how do we create a culture of AI experimentation inside of our organizations. So we learned a lot about AI. We learned about a lot of tools, right? We looked at Opus Clip. We just watched that Air demo. That was pretty cool. Video just came out with a big release, right? So if we go back to our firms leaving here and we say, hey, we just learned all these tools. We learned Opus Clip. I want you to start using it. Will that work? Is that the way we get our employees to start doing things, right? Does it ever work if we take one of our ideas and we just tell somebody we want you to do it? Is that how we get buy-in? No, we got to flip that around. If we really want to get buy-in for AI, and we really want to have an organization that is fully AI enabled, it's got to be a bottom-up approach. It has to be everybody in the organization, no matter what role you're in, marketing, sales, customer service, operations, shipping. Every role that we're in has to be thinking AI first in their role, in everything they do. So we can find that mass efficiency, that profitability, the quality that we're looking for, all the promises that AI has, right? Has to be bottom up. As leaders, it is our job to go back and give the why and the how to inspire our teams. It has to be our team's job in their everyday work and every single thing that they do to figure out the what. Discover that, bring that to the work because it's their ideas. So how do we make that happen? Well, I have 6 steps for you. 6 steps to building a culture of AI experimentation. Number 1 is that you don't go back and just say, use these tools. You go back and you educate and you excite. It's like what we're all doing here. We brought our staffs here. We can go tell them about They Ask You Answer and content and video and go do all these things. It's not the same as when they learn about it, they get excited about it, and they start experimenting with it. So what Brianna just did was she demoed 5 videos. When we go into organizations or we go into peer groups and we do our AI workshop, we actually demo a lot more. This is the complete list of what we demo. And the purpose of demoing them is not to say, here are tools that you should be using. The purpose is just to open your minds about what AI actually can do. It's to open your minds about what AI has the possibilities of doing. Some of those demos we just showed, if you actually use the tools, some are really good and some are okay. Have you guys experimented with AI tools and you're like, hey, I watched this great demo, but then when I went to go use it, it was like, right? A lot of nods there, right? Doesn't mean that AI can't do it. It means it can't do it right now, but it's probably going to be able to do that. And that's what we need our 100% of our organizations knowing and thinking and experimenting with. Because this stuff is coming. It's going to change the world. And it's exciting. It does make our jobs more fun. It gives us new opportunities. We're going to do things like we never did before. Of course, some are going to be resistant. We're going to go over that in a second here. So if you want this list, again, if you're going back and you want to do a workshop with your staff, I would highly recommend you use these ones. And again, it's not about going to use these tools. It's having conversations of what tools like this could do inside of our organization. So number 2, we have to address the concerns and set expectations. So Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, creators of ChatGPT, he was being interviewed by a bunch of marketers. And they asked him, what do you think AGI, and AGI is artificial general intelligence. It's like the next level of AI that's being worked on right now. It's going to be coming out. He goes, what do you think that will mean for us? And for consumer brand marketers trying to create ad campaigns and the like to build their companies. Before I continue, can I just see a show of hands? Has anyone heard of this before? Raise your hand if you've heard of where I'm going with this. Like 4 people in the room. So he answered. And Danielle, can I ask you to read this?
For that, it will mean that 95% of what marketers use agencies, strategists, and creative professionals for today will be easily, nearly instantly, and almost no cost be handled by the AI. And the AI will likely be able to test the creative against real or synthetic customer focus groups for predicting results and optimizing. Again, all free, instant, and nearly perfect. Images, videos, campaign ideas, no problem.
Let that settle in for a minute. As I say, impact a lot. Pause for dramatic effect. If we could pass the mic over to Dale over here. You just read that, and you're seeing this for the first time.
Yeah. Sorry, yes.
How does that make you feel?
95% is a big number.
It's a huge number.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome, but a little scary.
A little scary.
Yeah.
And headlines like this are already coming out. Here's a company replaced their entire, at least I assume, their entire customer service department by robots. Replaced their entire staff. You're going to see more headlines like this. What does that mean for us? Should we be scared? Are we all going to lose our jobs? Well, I often think of AI, and I can make a lot of comparisons to the way AI is rolling out right now to like the rise of the internet. And I keep making parallels. Every time I try a question, is this different? I just keep making more and more parallels to the rise of the internet. And yeah, jobs will change. Look at this list. Now, some of these are gone before the internet, but you get where I'm going with this. Jobs go away. This is not anything new. This is the reality. There are jobs on this list that just don't exist anymore. Do you know there used to be a job called computer? Do you know what replaced that? A computer! But new jobs will come. And we don't even know what those new jobs are yet. I can tell you, Chief AI Officer will be one of those jobs. There'll be tons of AI trainers. We have some of them at Impact here. But we don't even know. We can't even imagine what kind of jobs are going to come out. Because actually, if we go back to the rise of the internet, if you go back 25 years, there are jobs we have today that thousands, hundreds of thousands of people runs the economy that didn't even exist 20 years ago. Here's just some of them. A lot of you in this room. So as we're thinking about this, the world is rapidly evolving, but it always is. So as scary as it is, it's just the normal way of life. So where do I think jobs will be disrupted? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. There are some that we should be watching right now. Some of you are saying, that's my job on the board. And you're right. And I'll tell you, especially those of you who are young in your careers and you're just getting started. I'm looking around the room. Those of you in your 20s, if you're a video editor and you're just a video editor, you gotta break out of that. Now, I'm not so worried about you in this room because you're here. You're getting ahead of it. You're learning about this stuff. But I'm worried about a lot of people that are saying, listen, I'm just a video editor, just a copywriter. I just want to be a copywriter. I don't want to do this AI stuff. I don't want to think outside the box. And that's going to be like the person who's like, I just want to work at Blockbuster for the rest of my life. It's true. Leaders, now let me talk to you. If you are not having these conversations with your staff, you're failing your staff as a leader. They look to you to be the leader to guide them in their careers. You've got to be having these conversations with your staff. If they're going to be successful, if they're going to grow, if they're going to be a player for you in your organization, they can't just be in this role that's probably going to be eliminated in the next 5 years by Opus Clip. or these other $25 a month softwares. You got to be having these conversations with your staff. And of course, you could be a prophet of the world, but no one's going to listen to your own backyard, right, Marcus? So if maybe you are preaching this stuff, like Kevin, who's saying, I'm preaching this, but I just can't get the culture going. Well, maybe you have to bring somebody from the outside to have that conversation with your staff for you.
Skill and talent of a human writer.
Good question. So to repeat the question, she said, is the skills and capabilities of AI better than that of a human?
Because I've seen what AI puts out from a content writing perspective.
Right now.
And like part of my job, because some on our team use that technology and I'm editing the mess out of it. Yeah. I'm just wondering, is that what you're trying to say? Well,
listen, right now, you're right. Right? AI makes a lot of errors. First time there was another software, similar Opus Clip, and we used it. And of course, it had all kinds of bugs. We couldn't use the output of it. That's not the way it's going to be. All these are going to get better and better and better. Now, again, skipping ahead to some of the stuff on my deck here, I'm not telling you to completely get a new job, but I'm going to tell you start using these tools and be a leader in your organization, because that's how you combat this. How do you become way more AI enabled in everything you do? And that's going to be my message.
Okay.
We talked about the ostrich as we opened up the event. We talked about ostrich marketing. When people have questions, we can't just avoid the questions, right? So we're sitting here, it's still in the section of addressing the concerns our staff will have. They have questions about AI, whether they're asking you or not, and they're probably afraid to ask you because they don't want to know the answers. But again, you as the leader have the responsibility of answering those questions for your staff. And here's some examples of the questions they're going to have. And of course, the big one at the bottom here. Am I going to lose my job? So I like the way, actually, before I go to that, the way most industry experts will say, will I lose my job, is that AI won't take your job, but a human using AI will. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. I do think there's a lot of merit to that. So I think that, again, that's one way we combat this. But I like the way Dharmesh Shah, the founder of HubSpot, he said at Inbound. He said, AI will take your job. They'll give you one that's much better, more creative. The things that you don't like doing, these tasks and you could push down to an intern or push down to the AI. Push down to the AI. That is your assistant right now, and rise above that and be more creative. I guess that's part of my message here too. If you're a copywriter, you got to rise above just being a copywriter, because a lot of that's going to be done by the AI, but be the strategist, be the big idea person, and use those tools to have better ideas. Of course, that's only if you embrace it. And just like we say with salespeople, if they ask you answer, participating in content is part of your job. You have to, if you're going to have a culture that fully embraces AI, bottom up throughout the entire organization, shipping, doesn't matter what role you're in, AI is now part of your job. And you are going to be, as part of your performance review, you're going to be judged on your experiments. Okay? So we just covered the why of AI, because it's not going away. Again, it's just like in the late 1990s, there were people that said, I'm not doing this internet thing. I'm not doing this email thing, and they were resistant, and they were the ones that were most disrupted. But yet there were plenty of people that said, let's figure this out. And they were the internet natives. And those are us in this room today. So now, how do we do this? Let's go to step 3. You have to give your staff guidelines. Think about it. If you say, hey, go use all these AI tools, you all know about privacy. You know these tools use your information to feed the models. And that's how these models learn and get better over time. But it can create risks, right? Like, what if our staff takes our customer data and uploads it to ChatGPT or some other tool, and then some other user asks a question like, hey, list off some companies that have this problem, and your customer data comes out? That is a real risk. So you, as leaders, I'm not saying you have to put strict policies in place. I recommend guidelines. And I create a very simple framework called the safety framework. And I recommend that you use this as a starter. I wouldn't recommend that, you use this if you want, but I also recommend amend this for your companies. And if you're in a company that has more compliance, yeah, maybe lean more towards stricter policies. But the most important part is that you're giving your staff some rules to stay within to protect the company and protect themselves. Number 4, we heard from Thad the other day at Mozilla. They have an AI council, which I think is awesome. You're a bigger company. You should have more people in this. But for the majority of us in this room, we're small enough. We just really need that one AI champion, the one that is making sure that this is happening consistently. Again, if they ask you answer, we have to have an owner. If we want AI to work, we have to have an owner. And chances are you don't have to go hire somebody. I know we always talk about you have to have a content manager, you have to have a videographer, you have to have a HubSpot admin. I'm not saying go hire a HubSpot, an AI person too. You might already have this person in your organization. Tech savvy, early adopter, probably already playing with this stuff, already having these conversations inside your organization. But you do have to have somebody waving the flag, celebrating the wins. When people have questions, they can go to that person. All hands meetings, they're sharing what's happening with AI inside the company. Number 5, give your staff a process. And I think this is actually really important because, and this is the 8-step process I'm recommending, and it's really just ripped off the scientific method. I'm not going to lie. But that's what experiments are based for, right? But the most important one is what I have here in number 7. If you really want to know, is all this stuff that we're doing with AI, these tools that we're spending money on, is this all working? You have to track the ROI. And that means on every experiment, what was the gain? The hours saved, the money saved, the improvement of quality, the retention of customers. What was the gain? And then look at all those experiments on the macro and say, what was the ROI this year that we had from our AI efforts? And how can we double that next year? And then number 6, you got to reward great behavior. If you really want to get this part of your culture, you have to have a reward system that rewards great success with AI experiments. It doesn't even mean that every experiment had to be a win, but it had a big learning. We took a risk. We tried something different. We went out of the box. And when you have lots and lots of that, you will win. It could be monetary. It could be non-monetary. It could be, throw a little bonus to somebody. But again, it just reinforces the fact that this is an important part of the culture. So these are the 6 steps. Easy peasy, right? We offer this AI workshop. We actually have 2 variations of it. We have one that's made specifically for CEOs. Chris Dupre has actually been doing a lot of these for Vistage groups. So if you're a CEO in the room and you're part of an entrepreneurs group, and you have other CEOs, and you want to bring this AI knowledge, a lot of what you just saw right now from the demo videos and what I'm talking about right now, and obviously we abridged it, but there's a much longer workshop. That's the first workshop you're seeing here, AI for CEOs. And we also have AI for teams. So if you want to bring somebody from impact in, help you develop your processes and your guidelines, identify your champion, and then roll this all out to your company, show videos, get them all inspired and excited and ramped up, that we have that as an offering as well. So the last one on this list here is to reward and celebrate success. And one of the first real experiments we had was by a member of Impact who got this reward. I'd like to call her up. You guys know her, Mandy York.